Today, people are asking more of their cameras. They want cameras that are video focused, that are designed with video in mind. Those cameras exist. They're called camcorders. This is the Canon Vixia HF R700. It came out in 2016. It's one of the long line of Canon Vixia cameras. The question is it viable in 2020? I am a big fan of the Canon Vixia camcorder line. As a matter of fact, parts of Epitaph Bread and Salt were shot with the Canon HG10. I particularly like the way the image looked at night. My original plan was to shoot the whole film on that camera, but we met Adam Daniels, who was an award-winning photographer here in Chicago, and we negotiated a deal with him, so he shot a lot of this film on his 5D, and we shot the rest of it on my T3i. These cameras were little powerhouses. They shot 1080 at 24 frames per second, and most of the times had a 1.8 aperture at its widest angle, which is what we usually shot at. But obviously it couldn't compete with the image of a 5D or even a T3i for that matter. They were just made for this kind of thing, and they did a hell of a job. If I had it to do all over again, I would simply change some of the special effects and how we handled the audio in certain situations. Which brings me to these little guys. Part of what makes them so special is that they're consumer cameras with some professional features, such as microphone and headphone jacks. Of course, you have your HDMI out and your mini USB, dedicated on and off button, and a playback button. A lot of the Vixia line actually have a mic and headphone jack, which some expensive cameras don't have, which is ridiculous. The camera also has optical image stabilization, of course backed up by digital stabilization, just like many other cameras today. The camera is so small it fits in the same compartment that I keep my GoPro and battery charger. I have a male-to-male audio cable, a small Gorilla Pod, and of course the camera itself, all in that same compartment. You might notice this cold shoe here. That was my doing. Canon put a microphone jack on here, but not a cold shoe for the microphone itself. So I took care of that with some crazy glue and a small red cold shoe. So for the most part, we're off to a good start. We have everything we need for this outing, but not so fast. There's some things to be aware of. Now, as stated, this camera does have a mic jack. The thing about it is, if you plug in something like a Rode Video Micro or a Rode Video Mic Go, you're going to get something like this. You're going to need a powered mic, something like the Takstar that everybody loves so much, or a Zoom. In my case, Zoom H4n. I suggest anybody doing any kind of video work, YouTube stuff, anything like that, get your Zoom H4n, H1n, any of those. I personally want to get a new H1n. Those things are nice. I use them for my audio all the time on set now. So, grab one of those. In fact, the Zoom was almost a little bit too loud. Since I was doing this on the fly, I really didn't get a chance to adjust my microphone settings. I had to turn this down in post. Not to mention, I didn't have my dead cat on here, so there were other clips where there was wind noise coming into the microphone, which also distorted the audio. So you have to keep all of that in mind when using a camera like this, because it really does sound horrible when you're listening to it. So how do you prevent this? It's easy enough. You go into your settings, scroll down to mic level, then you have your choice of automatic or manual. You hit manual, and then you turn your audio up or down. Very simple. And back to that cold shoe. I simply took the side strap off. I took a little bit of crazy glue and just glued this small red cold shoe to the side. works perfectly. Now, I didn't do this because I wanted to put a microphone in that cold shoe. I did it because I wanted to put this in that cold shoe. It's a very bright LED light with 3 separate cold shoe mounts. So I could put this light on here and then put the microphone into the light. That was my original idea. I was going to put this on here and then put the Movo into the lamp's cold shoe. That was before I realized that this camera needed a powered mic. The Movo works just like the Rode Video Micro. It needs phantom power. But if you have a powered mic, this setup would still work. So here I am on the streets of downtown Chicago, and you can see the image quality as well as the stabilization. Now, I think I talk about this somewhere in here, but with my mask on, the camera doesn't grab onto my face. There's a point here somewhere where I take the mask off and, it just kind of automatically just grabs on, like boom. And my face comes into focus. But even with my mask on, the autofocus is doing pretty good right now. The image quality on here is really nice, and it looks like, and it could be my eyes playing tricks for me, but it looks like there's a little bit of depth of field going on with this. Just a little bit happening there. Now, this is the widest angle of view you're going to get with this camera. And obviously, if you wanted to, you could buy one of those wide angle extension lenses and screw it onto the front of the camera. But honestly, this is good enough for a lot of people. Also, this camera has touch to focus. So if you're ever in a situation where you need something to go into focus quickly, you just touch it and it'll come into focus. Now, one thing I always love to check out with cameras is how good they are in low light, particularly at night in the city. And this camera has a 1.8 aperture, so that always turns my head when you have that fast lens. So let's check it out at night. These are the kind of places that I like to shoot films in, these kind of alleys and stuff at night. Although, I like to do that with multiple people there, not just me alone. All right, guys, this is what it's looking like just on the street with the lights and everything like this. No lamp on, no extra audio or anything like that. This is strictly from the camera, 1.8, and this is what it's looking like right here. It's actually capturing my face and everything. It's keeping me in focus. And by the way, if you're wearing your mask, the autofocus is going to have trouble. So you might have to take your mask off if you're going to be doing this. But yeah, this looks pretty good, especially in an area like this. In an area like this where you have nice lighting on the street. Now, if we were to go down to some of the darker areas, it would be, obviously it would get a little sketchy. But right here in this type of lighting, it does pretty well. And like I said, this camera's 4 years old. A lot of things that are within that, in 2016, lighting, stabilization and stuff, that stuff is getting pretty good. Now we're getting to this spot where there's not a lot of light. So let's hit again with the lamp. Bam! There you go. It's going to take it a few seconds to get your face back in focus. Lighting has changed, and here you are. Face is back in focus, and everything's good. Now, the audio you just heard came from the 2 stereo mics that are right in front of the camera. So, again, perfect for vlogging. A lot of people want their DSLR or mirrorless camera to operate like a video camera. Well, here's a video camera that's literally doing what it's supposed to do. Again, a case of something doing one thing really well. I mean, it can take photos, but it's not really concerned with that. Its main concern is video. You can grab a camera like this off of eBay for about $100, give or take a few dollars. I got mine for a lot less, under $50 actually. Sometimes you will catch a great deal, and I love it when that happens. I try to jump on them as soon as possible. If you're beginning YouTube and you're looking for what kind of camera to get and you don't have a lot of money to spend, maybe something like this will be helpful to you. This also would make a decent studio camera if you're just sitting in front of the camera and you want to have a camera to get some good quality footage of you doing your thing, get one of those ring lights off of Amazon and you're all set. This is a camera worth checking out. In fact, the Vixia line of cameras are worth checking out. If you're new to YouTube or if you just want something to have a little bit of backup just in case, check these cameras out, guys. They're good, and you can get them for cheap on eBay right now. Just make sure the ones you get have the audio and headphone jack. Make sure of that. All right, you guys take it easy. Nathan Brendan Masters. Hasta.
Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the border.